Welcome to the JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. I am your host, Janelle. Today's episode, we will be talking with Andre, Certified Master Life Coach. Andre, please introduce yourself and tell us about your journey to self care.
Well, my name is Andre A.J. Carter. I am a certified master life coach, means I'm certified in 4 different categories. Um, I am also a minister. I am an
Mm.
author, an award-winning poet. I won the USA Library of Congress Award for Poetry 3 years in a row. And
Congrats.
thank you. And I am also a recovering sex addict.
Please tell us your journey. It's a journey.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Um, from young, when I grew up, I grew up in an abused household where my father would come home from work and beat on me and my mother for no reason. Okay, everybody thought that everything was okay with us. We always looked on the outside like, we were doing our thing. My mom always had mink coats on and things like that, the Dolce & Gabbana glasses and all that type of stuff. Nobody knew why she's wearing the Dolce & Gabbanas to sit up there and cover her black eye.
Mm.
You see, the Dolce & Gabbanas were big glasses,
Mm-hmm.
so they were big enough to cover the black eye. So people thought she was coming out looking fancy, she was actually just hiding. So nobody knew what was going on in our household. Even years later, a friend of mine came to me and said, "Oh yeah, you were the kid on the block everybody wanted to be." And I'm looking at him like, "Wow, I didn't even want to be me."
Mm-hmm. Because they didn't know the horrors. That.
Exactly. People only know what they see on the outside. They don't know what's going on the inside. If everything looks good on the outside, that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, you're doing well. My father drove brand new Cadillacs every single year. He owned his own business. He owned J&T Floor Waxing, which did very well. He had a house in Long Island, Queens, Park Slope, and South Carolina. So we were doing well financially, but that's where that stopped. Okay, I mean, me and my mom used to practically throw parties when he went to his cousin's house in New Jersey every weekend. So it's like, wow, relief. We could let our hair down and things like that. Um, I had a little brother who, I guess, to make up for all the drama that he didn't go through, and just babying him basically.
Right.
She let him stay in the house. Matter of fact, he's still in the house, and he's
Wow.
going on 48. Okay,
Mm-hmm. He didn't leave the nest yet.
didn't leave the nest yet. Nope. She done bought him 5 different cars. Just babying him to death. Guess how many she bought me? Zero.
Wow.
So you know, I guess the sex addiction came by me not feeling the love and always being in search for love. I had sex with as many as 4 to 5 girls per day. And this went on for many years. I mean, it started around when I first started having sex when I was 18. I didn't want to have kids young because all my friends were sitting there having kids, and they were scaring me.
Uh-huh. I waited too.
So, I didn't have my first child till I was 25 and married. So, uh, but like
Which
I
is a
said,
good thing.
yeah, it was a good thing. I love my children; they're a blessing. But problem is that while being married and being a sex addict, at first it was fine because she satisfied my needs. In the beginning, it's like the honeymoon period. Y'all going
Yeah.
at it like rabbits anyway. Regardless.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So as time went on and the relationship started falling apart, which didn't take long because I was married for all of I would say 6 years that I was actually legally married, but we were together only 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in that last year, being a sex addict, I'm out here going at it again, having sex with every girl I saw. If she was attractive, I wanted her. And I didn't think about the numbers or anything like that. It was, I don't know, it was just me
It was
being me.
you getting your addiction. That's what that was.
Exactly. And I didn't realize it was even an addiction. I just thought I was, putting notches on my belt and,
Mm-hmm.
being the
Just
man,
having a
as
good
they
old
say.
time.
That's right. I was just having a good old time. And my
Was this
numbers said,
with feelings or without any feelings while you were a sex addict during that time?
oh, I mean, I was able to fall in love. If that's what you're saying. Yeah, there was some I had feelings for, but a
Feelings for
majority of
the
that
women, for the
for the
different
women.
women?
Yeah, I mean, not
Okay.
well. I should say it was some that I made girlfriends.
Okay.
So I became so yes, I had feelings for them, but all the rest of them, and I can tell you, there's a good 1,000. Um, I don't even know their names.
Wow.
So I mean, there were girls that I've slept with, meeting after 15 minutes. So their name wasn't something that was important to me. What was important to me was me busting that nut.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I didn't realize that I had even had this addiction until I was working at a hospital and an older woman came to me and said, you know, you had sex with every woman in the hospital from the 10th floor to the lobby.
Whoa.
And I was like, wow, I have never actually looked at it like that. And, I would have not even took her seriously if she wasn't so much older than me. Because she was about 65 and ready to retire, and I was about 33. So I knew that she wasn't jealous of me or nothing like that. With somebody my
Absolutely.
age, I would be thinking, oh, they're just mad I ain't hit them yet.
Mm-hmm. That's what guys usually would say when a girl sounds mad.
So, but I took this woman seriously, and I was like, I really thought about it, and I've never thought about it before. Nobody's ever brought it to my attention that I had so many women, and
Wow.
it was like a big shock to me. And me, I hate labels, so I automatically, I'm not the type that really needs the therapy, but
Mm-hmm.
because I can stop myself instantly when somebody gives me a label. Because even
Okay.
I've even done that with alcoholism, where I
Mm.
came back from the military, and because we were, I was in the military, and doing war and all that type of stuff.
Yes, the PTSD.
You know, I was going through all of that. So we were drinking every single day. You know, 12 o'clock came. We couldn't wait for 12 o'clock to come because 12 o'clock we were drinking.
Uh-huh.
So,
Self-medicating.
yep,
From the trauma. I mean, you
that's
saw
right.
trauma out there in war, most
Right.
definitely.
Yes. So, this was Desert Storm, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Wow. Oh, yes.
You know, I
It was some
trained.
traumatic events there.
Hmm. And I was in charge of training the soldiers in hand-to-hand combat because I have been in martial arts from 10 years old. So we're talking about, by the time we're talking about 13 years of martial arts at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I was pretty good at it.
Yeah, you was good at what you did.
Right. So they had me training the soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. And it was rough. You know, it was a really rough time. I was drinking every day. And then by the time that I left there, I saw my dad, and he made a statement to me that shook my whole world.
Mm.
He said, "If you have to drink every day, you're an alcoholic." And I was like,
Mm. A
"An
label.
alcoholic, an alcoholic." I was like, "Word?" Ooh. I stopped instantly. I didn't need AA or none of that.
Wow.
So
Because of the label, it triggered
exactly.
something. Right.
Yep. So, you know, same thing with the sex addiction. Soon as I got that label, it was like, oh my God, I'm labeled.
Wow.
So I actually, with this though, I actually went to therapy to make sure that's what it was. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, me myself, I didn't even notice at all. I mean, at all. I just saw a pretty girl. I went after her. 9 times out of 10, I got her.
Wow.
Yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and people wonder, you know, how that happens. And I tell people, you know, I even wrote a book on it, the manual, the relationship manual for men that's loved by women. It's on Amazon, by the way.
Wow.
Um,
Thank you. Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes so that people that who chooses to order your book will order it.
thank you, thank you. You know,
Absolutely.
so people always wondered how was I able to get that many women? And I said, you know what? I said, you ask any crackhead, any heroin addict, anybody who pops pills on a regular basis, um, how are they able to get these drugs? They get them by any means necessary. They have mastered the art of getting these drugs.
Absolutely.
Same thing with sex addiction. You have mastered the art of getting this sex because that's your addiction. So that's what you need, and you must have it. It's not maybe I want it today. No, you must have it. It's compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't realize this. And it's actually recognized in the DSM-5, which is the psychology handbook that psychologists use for basically labeling.
Yes. Uh-huh. That's where diagnosis come from. Absolutely.
Right. So uh, it's in there. So
Mm-hmm.
for all the people that think that, oh, maybe he just likes a lot of sex. No, I've been in situations where I've had a woman laying directly next to me in bed, but she was sleeping. And the urge came on, and I went outside around the corner, go to the store. I'm going to get some sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like that.
That.
Most
Yeah.
people would have stood up there and woke the girl up, and you know, me, I needed it right then and there. I didn't want to hear, "Oh, I'm tired" or anything else. I wanted to catch somebody that was up and ready.
Right. You were feeding the addiction.
Right, exactly. So that's what I was doing. This went on for years and years and years. I mean,
Wow.
I've ruined relationships. I've slept with married women. I mean, one time I was sleeping with a married woman, and her husband came in.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Dangerous.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, dangerous.
Oh yeah. Um, I was shaking in my boots. Oh yes.
Mm.
She was in the shower, and her husband came in, and I'm sitting on the sofa. Luckily, we weren't having sex at that time, but we had just finished. That's why she was in the shower.
Right. Wow.
And her husband came home early for lunch or something. This must have been like around 1 o'clock. He doesn't get off until 5.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like, wow, you know. Um, he came in and he introduced himself. He asked where his wife was, and I said she's in the shower. And he asked me what I was doing there, and I came up with some story about us working together, and I was helping her carry some boxes she bought up, and this and that. And
Mm.
she said
You
she
thought
was,
quick on your feet.
oh yeah, oh yeah, in a life or death situation, oh most definitely.
At least you
you
didn't say
know,
you were the milkman.
you know. I don't think it would have worked at that time.
That's right.
So I had to come up with a real quick story. And luckily, I mean, the story was actually kind of true. That's why I was able to come up with it because we
Oh,
did work together. She was my boss,
okay.
and she was carrying a box, and I offered to carry it.
Mm-hmm.
I left it at that though. I didn't tell him, oh, we just finished having sex. That's why she's in the shower.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been a good idea. We probably wouldn't be talking on this podcast right now.
No, it's so funny though. You know, a lot of people get caught in those situations. I remember when I was in the military, and one of my sergeants, his wife was cheating on him with another guy, and he came in, he opened the door, and she told him to close the door. I'm not done yet.
Mm. Uh-oh.
That was too funny.
Wow.
I don't think I will
Yes.
ever forget that.
Oh no, you're not. That goes down memory lane, as we call
Most
it.
definitely. So, you know, as I was saying, with the addiction, I have been in therapy ever since then, and I'm still in therapy because every day is a battle. You know, I've been married now for this is my second marriage. I've been married for 21 years.
Yay. Therapy works.
I guess so.
It does. Therapy and your willingness.
Right.
Because therapists, I'm a social worker, so we could talk a whole hole in your head. You until you're ready, it doesn't work. I have to be honest.
Right. That is so true. That is so true. And you have to find the right therapist. You can't just, settle on the first therapist because I've seen actually about 4 or 5 different therapists
You don't
before I found the right one.
absolutely so true. You have to
You
find
know?
a therapist that resonates with you.
Exactly. And one thing that the person for me that I found uh, was very conversational. And I like that. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't just say, you know, tell me what's on your mind.
Yeah.
And because I've had some that told me some stuff like that, and I was like, huh,
Oh yes. They out there.
huh? Tell me what's on my mind. Let me tell you, it ain't on my mind. I don't even know why I'm here at the moment.
Exactly. Exactly. It's the approach of the therapist. For me, as a coach, I always ask my clients, how are you doing? And I let the coaching session go from there.
Right.
we don't necessarily have to talk about what happened to you at 2 years old. Let's have a
Right.
conversation. How you doing? That goes a long way.
Exactly. It really does. It really does. Having a friendly approach and just being able to listen. You don't
Yeah.
always have to agree. You don't always have to um, disagree or agree or disagree. You don't have to do either one. Just listen.
Listen, that's right.
Give
Because
it
it's
ear.
not your story, it's their story.
Exactly. Whatever
It's
happened in the past, it's not about you trying to correct it.
because you
It's
can't.
exactly because you can't go back in the past and undo what was already done. The only thing you could do is try to guide the future.
Absolutely.
So, I found a therapist that helped me do that. And she's wonderful. I must say, she's wonderful. I mean, sometimes the sex addiction creeps up because I mean, one time I had to catch myself. My
Mm-hmm.
therapist was, she sits in a rolling chair and I sit on the sofa and she sits, facing me. And at one time, I pulled her chair closer to me.
Wow. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's an addiction. You got to remember you're battling demons.
Uh-huh.
Even in the therapist's office, you were
Uh-huh.
battling something. Remember, it's day by day, minute by minute, second
That's
by
right.
second.
That's right.
Anyone who is addicted to anything, any drugs, any sexual addictions, you have to literally, in recovery, you're living your life second by second.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So you
it's a
went to
hard road.
therapy, Andre. What else happened? Because something else, because that started your journey. The young lady who said you done slept with everybody from the lobby to the 11th floor. That was like your push. What? Because now you say you're a minister, so I know you're not sleeping with the congregation. How does
Right.
that work for you?
Uh, I don't sleep with the congregation.
That's what I just said. You
You
don't.
know, that's a no-no because I don't want to be one of those
Absolutely, because
ministers that
you got to remember you're still an addict. So how does
exactly
that work for you? Like, how do you push through? Because now you're helping others who's in the situation you were in.
right. Well, I mean, you tell your story, you try to help people, and me, I help people, not just with sex addiction, but with all kind of issues. I,
Absolutely.
you know, I get all type of relationship issues. One time, I got somebody that was having a hard time leaving her relationship because she was scared of her boyfriend, and her boyfriend
Mm,
was passing her around to other men, like treating her like a prostitute.
wow.
And this was somebody she was deeply in love with, and she couldn't
Hmm.
understand why he was making her do that. You know, so there are all types of people in the world with all type of issues, and as a coach, I just listen
Hmm.
and try to help them understand why they're going through what they're going through. And I take the same approach in church. You know,
Yeah.
I don't try to judge nobody because it's not my job to judge. That's belongs to God.
God, absolutely.
So I don't judge. You come into church not to be judged, but to try to do better. So
Hmm.
everybody that's coming to me for help, I'm not going to bash them and tell them, "Oh, no, you're this, you're that, you're gay. No, you can't be in my church." No, they're actually
No,
there because they want help.
absolutely.
So why would you shun that away? So I help all types of people.
And
And
I love it. I must say, I love it because you turned your pain, your past, into a passion. that
Mm-hmm.
you actually have a lot of experience. You have domestic violence experience
Yes.
with your mother, with you. You have child abuse experience. You was abused as a child, physically abused.
Yep. That's right.
You have the whole divorce experience, right? Because
Yeah.
once you're married and get divorced, you already know how that plays out.
I know
So
how it
that's
plays
so
out as a
many
child
people you
too.
can help.
Yeah. I know how it plays out as a child too, because my mother and father were divorced when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
So, at that time I had to go live in Brooklyn with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
While my mother went to college and worked a full-time job. So I only saw my mother basically at night right before bed, because I was laying in bed when she came in, and she would come and kiss me goodnight. And then I would see her on the weekends. But that was it.
Wow.
So from
And she
age
went through something as well. Your mom, she was physically abused and then went to college.
right. Yeah. My mom has 3 doctorates today. So
Yes. Once again, another situation where she turned her pain into purpose.
yeah.
And that's what, us as coaches, I'm also a life coach. And one of the things that I tell my clients is you were there. We cannot erase the past, but we
That's
can
right.
most definitely walk towards the future by living in the moment and being in your present moment and
That's right.
enjoying the moment,
That's
because
right.
tomorrow's not promised. We
That's
can't
right.
focus on where we're going to be in 5 years. Let's focus on where we're at and be grateful
That's
for
right.
where we're at,
That's right.
because every day is a blessing.
It definitely is.
When your feet touch that ground, that's considered a blessing. You
That's
were
right.
on the wake up list. So that's what I tell people, your journey, start this self care journey. I don't care how old you are or how young you are,
Yep.
start it.
That's right. That's all it takes. A lot of people don't realize that, in order to be great, nobody starts off great, but you have to start to be great. So
Absolutely. Which
nobody
is
people
so
people don't
true.
yeah, you have to get started. One foot in front of another. It doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get to a destination. As long as you're moving towards that destination, you'll eventually get there. But if you're not moving and you're stagnant, of course you're not going to get there. So
You're right. So we became this pastor. So do you have a church where
yeah,
you're a minister? You're a minister, right? I'm sorry.
yes, I am.
So where's your church located?
We're in Great Neck on Steamboat Road. Yep.
Okay. What city and state? Great Neck? Or
Great
what
Neck.
is it?
Great Neck is in New York, Long
Oh,
Island.
okay. So you're in Strong Island, Long Island, Strong Island.
Yeah.
Us New Yorkers say that.
Yeah.
Wow, Andre, I am so blessed to have you on this podcast, because your story is from horror to greatness, because no child should be beat every single day.
No, no. And it was over stupidness. It could be anything like, if I lost a glove, I would get beat for that. And we're not talking about expensive gloves. We're talking about, little knit gloves that you can get from the dollar store. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure back then they were like probably 25 cents or something like
Thanks. Have you ever forgiven your father?
that. Actually, yes, it took a long time, but I had to do it for me. Not so much for him,
Absolutely.
but to do it for me, because, you know, that poison was just eating me up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was rough. Let me tell you how bad the abuse was and how long it hung over my head. When I was, when I was 10, yeah, because that's when they divorced. When I was 10 years old, my mother went downstairs to the basement to iron some clothes. So she's down there ironing, and then she comes upstairs to put on a pot of coffee because my father was waking up. So she puts on a pot of coffee for him. And when he got up and saw the basement light was on, he automatically assumed it was me who left the light on. And he asked me, did I leave the light on? I told him no. And then he tried to beat me for lying. He beat me up. He beats me with his hand, his fists, and he kicked me in the mouth.
Wow.
Okay? When he kicked me in the mouth, my teeth went up into my gums. You know when they came out? When I was 35 at my second wedding. During the wedding.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm so sorry you had to endure that. No child should be abused.
Yep. So,
and then I have to forgive him. But it's the right thing to do when you forgive for you. It's not so much forgiving for them to make them feel better. It's when you forgive for you, it makes you feel better because that's a dead weight lifted off of you.
Mm-hmm. Really
because
is.
when we hold hatred and dislike within our body, that's why we have body aches. We gotta release it because it's a weight on us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, hatred is like, swallowing poison and hoping somebody else gets sick.
and which is not going to happen. You're going to be sick. You're going to be sick.
Exactly.
So I always tell my clients, find a way to forgive. If you can't face the person, create a forgiveness plan, write them a letter, burn it, whatever it takes. You have to release it.
That's right.
You have to release it.
I had to pray every day. I mean, every day. 3 or 4 or 5 times a day in order to get to the point where I could actually forgive him. Because from 10 years old, I haven't seen him in 15 years at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. So the next time I saw him, I was 25. So, yeah.
You was an adult.
Yes.
Still carrying that dead weight.
At 25, really I can look in the mirror and still see his abuse. All I had to do was smile. Yeah. And at the time, I used to, as a child, you try to cover things up by, doing, trying to be funny or whatever, because back then Bugs Bunny was popular. So since Bugs Bunny was popular, I used to always make my tooth stick out like, Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, we did that.
It was funny at the time, but how it got that way wasn't so funny.
Absolutely. No. So true.
I mean, it was painful for me to even look at him. It was, oh man, traumatizing to tell you this least. But like I said, I prayed every day until the point where I could actually move towards forgiveness. And I'm not saying that, that the Christian path is an easy path, because I backslid myself. My stepfather and my mother were both ministers in the church. And so I was raised in the church.
Right.
So, and nevertheless, the sex addiction still got the best of me because, like I said, after 18, I was off and gone. Boom, 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 boom. Every girl I saw. So, it took a while, and it took a lot of prayer, and it took a lot of believing that things could change.
That's the journey. That's the journey. We got to get on the journey. We got to get on the train, whatever you want to call it. We got to get in the car. We got to start going straight, because you cannot drive a train backwards and you cannot drive a car backwards. You have to go straight. You
Mm-hmm.
have to start the journey. And
Yep.
whatever it takes, going to God, going to whatever people believe in, if that needs to be, then that needs to be, because that's part of the journey. The awakening, as people call it. Some people call it God came to me in my dreams and told me, get my shit together, get my stuff together. And that's what happens.
Right.
Something pushed you towards the Lord. Even though we're raised in church and stuff, I know I had to go to church when I was younger. That doesn't make me a church going person today. But do I
Right.
believe? Absolutely. Who do
Yes.
I think in the morning? I talk to my ancestors, this universe, God, Jesus, whoever I need to call on at the time. That's what I do,
Amen.
because that's how we get through. Our ancestors are angels up there, and they guiding us. They stopping cars from going into our cars. They're there with us. We just got to believe in whatever your belief is. Just believe in it. Because we can say we believe in things, but don't really believe. Believe
Right.
in whatever it is your path is. So,
That's right.
Andre, I truly, truly want to thank you for tuning in. But I always ask my guests, leave us with some advice about this journey.
Time is the most valuable asset that you have. If you waste it, you can't get it back. You can get, if you burn your house down, you can go out and get another one. If you lose a wallet with your money in it and your ID, sounds tragic, you can get more ID, you can get more cash. When you lose the time, there's no, I can get that back.
Mm.
It's gone. So while you're busy wasting it, doing all the wrong things, hanging out in the corner, drinking beer, drinking, smoking and all that type of stuff, that's time that's going by that you could have been doing something positive in your life. I tell people all the time, the genius and the guy that is a criminal, both had the same 24 hours. Both
Mm.
came into this world naked with nothing. Both of them. But one that used his 24 hours different than the other. That's the only difference.
Wow, time. So true. Andre, what's the name of that book? And we can get it on Amazon. And if you have a website or how we could follow you, please let us know.
Okay. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook at you could just at just ask Dre. Just ask Dre. Yes, where you can find me. You can email me at bookandreajcarter@gmail.com. I'm always available. Anybody who needs to talk, just needs an ear, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Andre. And the name of your book. I know we could get it on Amazon, but I just want our listeners who missed the title in the beginning of this episode. What's the name of the book?
It's called The Manual. It has a slash in between man and you. Okay, there's a dash there. It's called The Manual, the relationship manual for men that's loved by women.
Please, everyone listening to this episode, please run to Amazon and get his book. If you cannot get his book, I will have the link in the show notes. I will also have his email in the show notes. That way you guys can contact him. If you're not a member of Amazon Prime, we'll make sure that you receive his book. So I want to thank you, Andre, for telling us your journey to self-care. And it's very, very important. My advice to you is stay on that journey and keep it pushing.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.